Hello everyone, I'm Kevin, otherwise known as Forum BX257, here to bring you another 1980s G.I. Joe tour review, and today I'll be taking a look at the G.I. Joe's Battlefield Accessory playset, the 1984 Machine Gun Defense Unit. Like a lot of these small playsets, it never made an appearance in the comic books or the cartoons. Rather odd because there were many situations where they could have used most of them, especially this Machine Gun Defense Unit. And even though this was released in 1984 and 1985 for retail in the box, in 1989, Hasbro made it available again through mail order, but only in a 6-pack with all of its other 1984 and 1985 small Battlefield Accessory playsets. The Forward Observer, the Cobra Rifle Range, the Ammo Dump, the Mortar Defense Unit, and the Missile Defense Unit. However, these were mostly made up of foreign overstock, so what you got might have been slightly different in color than the retail version. In this case, the Machine Gun Defense Unit might have been a very dark green, almost black. Like a lot of the small Battlefield Accessory playsets, the Machine Gun Defense Unit is made up of small individual parts, which you can arrange any way you want. You don't have to have them in a fixed setting, which is great if you have multiples of them. You can expand them quite naturally. Take a look at the first part. We have 2 of these barricades, better known in the real world as tank traps. The actual toy accessory part here is actually made up of 2 pieces, so you do have to look out for that. If you're looking at photographs, just do make sure that it does actually have all 3 of these little steel beams. And in reality, that is actually what this is. They're 3 steel beams welded together at 90 degrees. And while that's a very simple thing for a tank trap, it is actually very effective. In the real world, if any vehicle approaches this, there's actually no angle at which they won't get trapped. Well, let's say this. There's really no way to approach this and get over it without hitting one of the upright beams. Kind of ingenious and simple at the same time. Of course, we also have the famous warning sign. This is something which I use in a lot of my displays. As a matter of fact, most of these parts are things that I use in my displays individually. It's very rare that I have it all together as one complete machine gun set. There's nothing wrong with that, though. Again, a very simple accessory, just basically a big flat sign with a huge sticker on it, but it really does look very good. And it's actually a very large sign as well, so it's something that just looks really good in front of a doorway or something like that. Then we have a little ammo can. Ammo box, I should say. Unfortunately, it's a little bit hollow on the bottom, but it gives the impression of a realistic ammo can. And for the first time, we actually have an ammo belt. Yeah, this is the very first G.I. Joe Real American Hero ammo belt that we get. And of course, that is attached to the EX-344 Universal Machine Gun, which is on a rotating tripod here. Now, with a name like EX-344, you would think that this was based on the EX-34, the real world machine gun, or even the M134, but it's actually not. Instead, this appears to be based on the M240D. There are some slight differences. I'm sure that is, of course, copyright infringement, and sometimes Hasbro is very sensitive to that sort of thing. Oh, and special thanks goes to Stephen Fender for actually pointing out that I should be using a graphic of the real-world weapon to compare to the weapon that I'm talking about. Honestly, this is something that I should have thought about quite a long time ago, but viewer input is always appreciated. Hasbro reused and modified the mold to use the gun again for the 1987 mobile command center guns. These were just the guns which clipped on. Unfortunately, they are not tripod compatible. They also got rid of the open slide here for the ammo belt, even though there is an opening on the other side. So while the ammo belt actually can thread through one side, it doesn't go all the way through the other, like the EX344's mold does. And last but not least, we have a pair of figure stands. Now, some collectors consider the Machine Gun Defense Unit and most of these Battlefield Accessory sets complete without figure stands, but personally I do like them. It means that you don't have to go fishing through individual parts bags just for figure stands when it already comes with them. And there should be two, of course. Machine gun units like this are generally handled by a gunner and someone else who handles the ammunition. Small places like this were also the only way that you can get figure stands back in the day, apart from the accessory pack battle gear sets. It wouldn't be until like mid-1991 before figure stands actually came with the figures. If you notice the artwork, they have the Machine Gun Defense Unit with Rock and Roll, the team's first machine gunner. I don't know why he's wearing a visor, and I don't know why the machine gun is actually pivoting upwards, because the toy cannot actually do that. If you do, you'll probably break the connection. But one good thing about this set is that it's actually best if you use it with a figure which didn't originally come with a weapon. Like, let's say, the 1982 Breaker. So you can still have your Rock and Roll manning the ammunition, but totally have Breaker here manning the gun itself. As a matter of fact, the last time I had this up for display, I actually had this with a mainframe, a Marine who did not come with any weapons, and Roadblock handling the ammunition. And this was actually in a Arctic environment, and I just realized that despite the really dark green of most of the accessories, this still really goes with a lot of different colored environments, like Arctic white or even desert. Despite all these small parts, like a lot of Battlefield Accessory playsets, the Machine Gun Defense Unit is the one that I find on the aftermarket the most complete. As a matter of fact, you should be able to find one fairly easily on the aftermarket for a reasonable price, because they are quite common. As a matter of fact, even as far as sturdiness goes, the only thing that you really have to look out for is the connection point between the beams and the other ones. But even if they're slightly cracked or completely broken off, I mean, they're things that you can just glue on permanently. They're not meant to be removed or even fiddled around with. And even the connection point between the machine gun and the tripod is fairly sturdy. I mean, of course, I wouldn't try to angle it in such a way that it's not supposed to move, but, you know, just rotating this thing and even like pushing it down slightly, it is fairly a robust piece of plastic, even after all these years. something that already has a pattern and an establishment within the G.I. Joe universe, and I don't know why they just don't use it. You could get figure stands apart from the accessory set, accessory gear battle. Tiny little pieces as the other. Well, that's all the time I have right now. Please check out my Facebook page for more information and behind the scenes photos for these reviews. Thank you for watching this video, and stay tuned for next time to see another 1980s G.I. Joe toy review. See you then.